Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. It's the Parrot BEBOP 2 Power. I've reviewed the regular Parrot BEBOP and that one was pretty awesome. Now Parrot has a new one called the Power, which gives you more flight time, a few minutes more flight time, and it also has a new type of goggles. As you can see, the box is super small and this is the full FPV package and everything in one box. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be unboxing this, setting it up. Probably not going to be getting to the flight test today, but that will be in the next video of this drone, just because there's so much going on with it. I like to go through all the setup and what you can expect in getting this thing started to fly. So let's get started. Okay, so as mentioned, this is going to be just the unboxing setup and kind of tutorial on how to get everything working. Don't miss the next video, which is going to be a full-on flight test at the park. Then I'm going to have one more, probably a range test on this one, like I normally do with all these advanced quadcopters and planes. I don't know if you can see over in the distance there, that's a new Parrot Disco. If you guys follow my channel, you'll know that I did lose my awesome Parrot Disco smart plane a few months ago, trying to go inter-island flight here in Hawaii, and it never came back. And I think it was probably because of pilot error. I ran a program, an autonomous program, and it just didn't come back. I think I was getting a little bit too risky on the flight. But I have a new one there, so that one's coming up. Just to let you guys know, it's going to be coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. So switching over here to the side, you can see that they're giving us two Parrot BEBOP power batteries. Two power batteries, and this is going to be, they're saying about 30 minutes each for flight time. Now I know that the original Parrot BEBOP realistically was only flying between 22 minutes and 23 minutes. So I'm thinking maybe the 30 minutes they're saying is probably realistically going to be around 27 minutes, but that's still quite a bit better. That's like 3 to 4 minutes better than the first one. So they're kind of following suit with the Mavic. You know how the Platinum just released kind of a refresh is what I'm trying to say. So this is kind of a refresh of the original BEBOP 2, just to give it some more flight time and a different look. You can see how this one's completely black. Anyway, on to the unbox. So just pulling it open here, and we are greeted as usual with a little bit of a kind of a warning, safe to fly stuff on top of the box here. And then we have a promo code, interesting, for Free Flight Pro. So if you don't have the Free Flight Pro app, for all this visual tracking and everything, looks like they have a promo code here for you to get it for free now. You used to have to buy it. Looks like maybe they're including it for free in the package. So just a little pamphlet on how to download that and install it. And speaking of this guy here, Parrot's done a lot of upgrades recently, and now they have kind of like visual tracking, kind of like DJI does, where you draw a little box around what you want to track, and it can actually track real time an actual person or object that's moving. So we're going to be testing that in the flight test and seeing how good all that new stuff is. Should be pretty fun. Anyway, popping up the box here it is. So right off the bat, we have a battery. This is one of those higher capacity batteries. And this is a 3350. 3,350 milliamp hour. You can see it come into view there. And a little bit of a high powered 4S. You see how it's 11.4 volts. Normal 4S is 11.1. The originals were 2,700, I believe. So they've gone up in a little bit of capacity to give you that longer flight time. So that was a battery. This looks like this is the power plug. And these ones always have all these adapters off the top. They have just this Asia European adapter. A couple things I'm noticing that are new from the original. The original didn't have these little rubber caps, I don't believe, out of the box. So they're just like these cool silicone guard caps for your motors you can put on there when you're not using it, just to protect your motor maybe a little bit better. That's pretty cool. And here's the other battery, just already kind of slid in partially and taped actually. So we've got two flight batteries. That's great. I think the original, I can't remember if it came with one or two, but here it is. So the BEBOP Power, and man, this thing is so light. Just like the original, it's kind of light. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the other one just so we can do a quick comparison between the old and the new. Okay guys, so here's the original BEBOP 2, and really you can't tell the difference at all aside from the color. This has like a two-tone white and black, and of course the Power is all black. And there's no difference whatsoever in this thing. The arms are completely exactly the same. So it's just like basically a very slight refresh, and it's just kind of like they're changing the color and adding some higher capacity batteries. So as far as the drone goes, I know that the goggles have changed a little bit, and we'll check that out in just a second, but really nothing at all has changed. Let's see if the motors have gotten any different. The motors look exactly the same too. So as far as the outside goes, I don't see any upgrades whatsoever. Everything looks just exactly the same. Even the plug for the battery, of course, the light configuration. The whole body is exactly the same. This has white dampers, this one has black dampers in there. Of course, just, whoops, there goes the camera. Let's take off both cameras and see if there's any difference in the cameras. So the front two cameras, let's see. Get them side by side here. It looks like they're both 3-axis 14 megapixel f23. F23, yep. So exactly the same camera and everything. So the only upgrades that's really going to be happening are possibly some internals, and I know the software has gotten very upgraded since I reviewed this old one. Oh, you know what I should have done was compared the bottom as well. The bottom also doesn't look like it has any change whatsoever. We have a sonic sensor in the middle there. We have our optical flow sensor just below that, sonic optical flow, and just a fan right there to cool the flight controller. I don't know if you want to say that's really a disappointing thing, but perhaps it was just, I mean, the old one did fly super well, so perhaps they found that this design didn't need an upgrade, so they just kept it like this. Of course, the arms don't fold kind of like a Mavic. It is very small and light, so you're still going to get a very compact and light package here. And these things are very durable. You can drop and crash them, and they're known to be very durable too. So anyway, moving on, we kind of saw everything, and really the only difference is this is just completely black, and the battery as far as the quad goes. So I'm going to put this guy on the side, and let's see what else is in the box here before we set it up on the tablet. So Sky Controller 2 down here in the bottom looks pretty much exactly the same as the Bebop. The new Bebop systems, they've done away with the Sky Controller 1, so the Sky Controller 2 is what you're going to be getting. The Discos now come with the Sky Controller 2, and even the new Bebop 2s, standard edition Bebop 2s, come with the new Sky Controller 2. Mounting plate for the Sky Controller 2, and this is what I'm talking about. This is how the goggles have changed here. This is the original one that came with the new FPV pack and the Parrot Disco and stuff, and you can see how large and bulky these are, where all you're doing is you're sliding your cell phone in and to the side here. This little piece kind of slides out. You put your cell phone in here, you put it in. So in comparison, check this out. So these are the old ones, and look at the new ones. They're just completely compact, folding down. And really that was one of my major gripes on this package, was just how big and bulky those goggles are. So just on top, it's got this plastic bar. This is where you're going to be putting in your cell phone. And check it out, we're wondering, how do we really have this cupped on our face? Well, it's got these silicone things that just pop out. So really a good idea, and I've actually tried these on my face really briefly before the review, and they do snug on pretty good. And you can see how it's just a really easy and smart clip. Here's the straps to hold it on to your face. You just strap them on here. And it's just a really simple clip that just will clip your cell phone in. You pop your cell phone in right here, clip that on, boom. And as far as the strap goes, it looks like it's a 3-strapped head mount mechanism here, and it's just Velcro. So all we do is we open this up, pop it through the slot just like this, and then Velcro it right back up. Real easy. So you just do that for the 3 sides. Okay, so I was wondering why it wasn't I couldn't find the thing for the top slot. Check this out, it actually pops out. This is full extension. I didn't even have it fully extended, and there actually are IPD adjustments on top. There are right up here. You can see as I move these in and out. Cool thing about this Velcro too is they give you quite a bit of room to Velcro it. You see how this whole section right here, probably about 3-4 inches of Velcro, is actually adjustable. So if, depending on your head size, you can actually adjust that. And that's going to strap over your head just like that. So on the very top we have those 2 IPD adjustments, and then we have just a capacitive button here. So if we open this up, we're going to push that, and you're going to see that a little kind of a prong comes out, and it feels like it's a little rubberized thing. So it's actually going to be touching the screen and actually executing certain commands when you do have the goggles on. Probably goggle view, and then you're probably going to be pushing this, and depending on how you have it set up, perhaps you're going to be able to look out your cell phone camera. Kind of like how it was with the older ones. You could actually just press a button and look out of your cell phone camera instead of taking these all the way off your face. So pretty cool. I'm really glad that they made something a lot more compact, even though you're still kind of using your phone, and the original one was a little clunky in connecting your cable to the controller and stuff. It does look like they made it a lot more simple, so you don't have to slide stuff in. Just put it in, boom, clamp it on, and you're done. Anyway, we're gonna just look at the last couple things in the box, and we've got 4 clockwise and 4 counterclockwise propellers. These look like pretty much the exact same propellers as the original. I'm not seeing really any difference at all. So there's 4 that direction, 4 this direction. And let's take a couple of boxes out here and just open them up and see what we get. So micro USB cable, it looks like. If I can pull this thing out of here. And that's packed in there really tight. Just shoved in there. So just a regular micro USB cable for like an Android phone. Let's see what's in here. Okay, this is all the plug adapters. So we got a whole slew of different adapters. We also have a propeller tool here. This will go on top of the propellers and you can lock them in with this. Here's a US plug. This is what I'm looking for. And this looks like this is going to be the controller cable connection. So we plug this into the power brick like this, and then you can see how this is just a small connector here. The way Parrot does it is they give you 2 plugs. So this plug's going to go right in here to charge your controller. See, this should be the other plug to actually charge your batteries. Yeah, that's what this is. So we pull this out, and you see how it has that same plug to push into the power brick in place of that controller plug. So we're going to plug that into the power brick, and then our batteries are going to charge right on this thing here. And the way this works is very simple. Just basically plug it right in just like this. Boom. And it looks like, okay, yeah, we only can plug it in one way. Would have been nice to have one plug in and then it just branched off to the smaller plug and the battery plug, kind of like what DJI is doing and a lot of other manufacturers are doing. So hopefully in their next generation they're going to have something like that, so you're not having to switch plugs every time between controller and the craft. Okay, well that's pretty much it. All I got left is this huge thick manual, and Parrot's known for giving it in a lot of different languages. We've got English, French, Espanol, Dutch, Italian, Netherlands, Portuguese, Dansk, Polski, and it looks like Thai. So you got quite a few different languages, and that's why it's so thick. The English manual is really only this thick. You see how thin that is. Anyway guys, let me get this thing started up and on a tablet or phone and just show you how the interface looks real quick. Okay, and before we do that, let's just show you how to mount this stuff on the controller. We need the tablet holder to be mounted up. So this comes in the box as well, and this can kind of only go on one way. You can see how we're just basically sliding this in the notch here, and it's just got like this little thumb screw that we just tighten up just like this to lock it on the controller. And then we can go ahead and put our tablet on there. It's also got a little screw up here so we can tighten or loosen this as well. Anyway, I'm going to be putting the iPad Air 2 in here, the one I bought specifically just for my drone reviews. And you can see it's kind of a ratcheting clamp. And of course you really can't see the controls when you have the tablet on, so make sure you kind of know how to fly this before you put the tablet on. What you might want to do is put in a smaller phone to get the hang of it before you use a big tablet, just in case you don't know where the controls are. Speaking of the controls, really quick on the controller, of course we have a spring-loaded 2 sticks, so we're going to have our altitude here, yaw, pitch, and roll. Then we have a takeoff and landing button here, and then we have A and B buttons, which we're going to be doing functions on as well as in the menu. And then we have a menu function here to get into the menu from the controller, and just to return the home button there. This is going to be the antenna. This is going to be where it's sending out the signal to the craft, a big old patch antenna. And then we have 2 triggers. This one here is going to be the gimbal. This one here should be the exposure value. And then these 2 triggers you can basically program to do whatever you want, which is pretty cool. Kind of like DJI, you can program certain buttons to do certain things. So that's basically it for the controller, and then we have this USB slot here. Plug in there, plug into your tablet or phone, and you're ready to go with FPV. Here is my lightning cable that came with the tablet. So we're gonna plug in here, and you wanna make sure you plug the other side, the regular USB, right into this USB slot right there on the side. Notice with these BEBOP Parrot drones, and they're drones in general, these smart drones, you wanna basically put your batteries and turn on the drone first. So just putting in the battery in its notches like that, sliding it in so it clicks, and taking off the camera cover. Okay, so the BEBOP 2 is ready to power on, so I'm just gonna hold in this button here. There you go. You don't have to push and hold, just basically push once and it will come on. So we're just hearing a couple beeps. I'm not gonna put the propellers on for right now. Just gonna let that thing boot up just so you can see how it is. So you saw the light was blinking and that was powering up the flight controller, and now the light's on solid, so we should be good to connect. So then we're gonna wanna turn our controller on, and there's this button down in here. You just press and hold it. And you see how it came on red there? So what we're looking at is we're looking for a green. We're blinking red. And what happened here is, check it out. The Free Flight Pro app auto launch. So if you have it installed, it will auto launch. So as you can see, there is an update required. And just looking back at this light on the controller, you see how it turned green? So this indicates that you are connected to the craft. So you saw that process. Drone on first, controller on second. And then if you have Free Flight Pro installed, it will auto launch, or you can launch it manually. So we need to update. So I'm gonna press OK, and here we go. So there's my old disco. Here's the Sky Controller 2, and here is the new BEBOP. So I need to do these two updates here. So I'm gonna do the BEBOP first. Let's install it. And this is the upgrade process. Now you're gonna wanna do this stuff before you fly the first time, so just follow the on-screen directions. So it's gonna send the file, it's gonna do a reset, and then it's gonna install. So this might take a while, so I'm gonna pull away for a sec until this finishes. Okay, so it looks like the sending file portion finished, and I just have this message here. Do you wish to restart your drone? You will be disconnected. Okay. So it should be restarting. You see the drone over there in the background is doing its thing. It's restarting. Hearing some beeps there, waiting for the solid blue light to come back on. There it goes. And let's see what's happening over here. Okay, so you may have this instance where now it's saying connect your drone. I'm just gonna wait just for a second to see if this auto connects to the controller. This is really good stuff to know, because if it doesn't auto connect, you're gonna need to know what to do. You see how it's restarting on its own here? There we go. We have a green light here. So maybe give it more time than you think for it to restart a couple times before you do anything. You saw how that was a little bit confusing, where it just started rebooting after I didn't know what was going on. So give it some time until you see this green light come back on the controller, then you know it's ready to go again. So I'm going to press OK again, and we're looking at our update status. So there we go. So it updated the BEBOP to power, and now we need to do the Sky Controller 2 firmware update. Boom, so I just tapped it there, and it's going to go through that update process as well. Okay, so it's resetting the controller. We got a blue light now blinking, kind of a turquoise and dark blue blinking there, installing the firmware into the controller. So the blue light is for when it is installing that firmware. So don't touch it, don't power it off. Should be just a few more seconds until it has to do its reset and stuff. So okay, I guess that's all it had to do. Let's see, it looks like it's possibly rebooting, and we're green again. So you saw that red blinking and it's green. So the controller is a much quicker update than the BEBOP 2 itself. So very important, just really remember to let this thing, if you do an update, let it do its reboots a couple times. Wait like 5 minutes before you try to start touching buttons and powering it off and on. So anyway, as you can see, guys, we're all up to date. Everything is golden. Now let's go back, and here we go. This is basically our interactive home screen for Free Flight Pro, where we can do all of our functions. We can go fly, we can do a flight plan here. You can see that we have 33% only on the Sky Controller 2, so not going to want to do much. I haven't charged either of these yet, so this is what they're coming with shipped, 46% on the drone. Let's go into flight plan. Just want to show you this real quick. Calibrate your drone to fly outdoors. Okay, yes, we know. Hand launch allows you, okay, new feature. They have a hand launch feature, which we'll also be testing out when we do our flight test. Just going to activate it. And we need to calibrate the drone. So you know what? We'll just do a quick little calibration in the house here, even though I'm going to recalibrate it when we fly, just to show you guys what's up and get past this point. So I'm going to press calibrate. And all you do is what the picture is saying on the screen. So we just need to rotate it like so. Of course, not good to be doing it in front of all these electronics and all this stuff. Then we're going to be doing it this way, kind of a nose spin forward, a pitch spin forward, kind of. Then we're going to be rotating it to the left. Left roll is what it's saying. And there we go. So that's it for the calibration. Let's check this out. This is new, never seen this before. How to launch. So it's just kind of showing you how to do a hand launch. And there's a button for hand launch right there. You press on the screen in your flight. Well, there's my disco flight plan. The flight plan from Wailea to Kaho'olawe, where I lost my Parrot Disco. So I definitely don't want to be doing that one. And this is where you can kind of go and make your own flight plan if you want to. If you just press on the top here, check it out. These are all my other flight plans for the Disco. This is one I did on the North Shore. I don't see any BEBOP flight plans in here, but this is where you would be able to do a new one down here on the bottom left. If I press new, there we go. You can pick your drone. You can do BEBOP, BEBOP 2, Bluegrass, or Disco. So we've got the BEBOP 2, so I'm just pressing that. And then wherever, if you have data or wireless where you are, you're going to be able to have Google Maps kind of zoom in. This is the La Perouse area, beautiful McKenna area I'm displaying here on Maui. And you can just do your flight plan. So, you know, you can just start hitting waypoints and you can tell it how high you want at each waypoint. There's a little gauge on the side here. You can tell it which way it's facing on the waypoints, all kinds of stuff. You can go into the profile view of your flight plan. You can adjust which way you want the camera to be going, which angle you want the camera to be going at one specific section of your flight plan. You can tell it to take pictures at a certain point, at what interval and what angle. Lots of stuff here. That's why I love these new Parrot advanced drones, is because they have so much technology built into them that a lot of people don't know about. They're really, really pretty advanced, and I'm really digging these guys. Anyways, you make a flight plan and you save it, and you can fly those auto flight plans where you're not going to be controlling it. It's just going to do its own flight plan. And we'll do one of these really quickly in the part 2 in our flight test. If we go into fly and film, check that out. So there we are. There's the kitchen. And this is where you're going to fly and just be seeing first-person view of where you're at. There's our little compass built right on top of a map here. So check this out. Just like DJI, we're getting a map. If we click on that and then we see our map of where we're at, we got a full-on ground map, satellite view of where our drone is and where we're flying, just like DJI stuff. We can center in on our position if we want, and that'll zoom in to a certain zoom level. And then we can go back into our first-person view. So very good, very DJI-esque, and they've got a really nice and clean interface. We can see that we have all of our telemetry here. So if we do go right in here to the gear icon for settings, we can see how we have 3 different control modes: joypad, ace, normal. We switch those around. It gives us different control options depending on what you want. We have our map type: hybrid, satellite, or just the road map. I like to use hybrid so I see the street names. It's always pretty cool. Show mini map always or only with controller. You have the option, or never. That would be a little mini map down in the left corner there. We can show grid, yes or no, hand launch, yes or no option off or on. Come down here to piloting. We can see that we have video mode and sport mode. Wow, so that's new. So they never had sport mode before in the last BEBOP 2. The original. So we've got sport mode for faster inclination, tilt speed, vertical speed, rotation speed, and bank turns. Yes and no. You can see the difference when we do click this button, how they change to sport. And you can also adjust stuff in sport. I don't think you can really do that with DJI products. You don't have this type of adjustability, so that's very cool. You're getting very good. Good job, Parrot. Clicking down to safety here, and we have, by the way, at the top we're seeing our drone signal, our controller signal, and our return to home position is, there's a check mark by it, so it knows where it's at. Return delay after disconnection. You can set it anywhere from, it looks like it's 30 seconds stock. We can go down to 0 all the way up to 120 seconds. So what'll happen is if it disconnects from the controller, it's going to wait this amount of time before it starts to head home, just in case you get connection again, and you can control it, I guess. You can set that however you want. We can actually just adjust all these things, and it looks like these will only take into effect if the geofence is on. So if you have it off, this should be unlimited, all this stuff. Of course, the return delay you're going to be setting, but I think the max altitude and the max distance won't matter if you have geofencing off, I'm hoping. So I'm going to leave that off for now, but just in case, I'm going to just put everything where I would want to fly to if we couldn't turn this off. So it would be a 400-foot maximum height, and I'm going to go to its max, which is 1 mile. And you can turn that geofence off or on. Going down to the video settings, we have 1080p or 720. Standard or high. Set standard quality to increase recording time. Okay, I'm gonna go high just to get the best picture. Of course, we're gonna have less recording time, as it says. Frame rate 24, 25, or 30. Of course, everybody wants to probably have 30 frames per second at least, and this one only does 30. It doesn't do 60 and it doesn't do 4K. So keep in mind, this craft is maxing out at 1080, 30 frames per second, but it does have a pretty good video stabilization built in. Roll stabilization, if enabled, the horizon line remains straight during turns. Okay, of course we want to have that on, probably. Anti-flickering mode, auto. That's all there is for the video. Let's go to network, and this is where we're just going to kind of see what our network's like, our Wi-Fi. It's going to automatically choose what the best channel is for you, depending on your situation. So I'm really not going to adjust anything like that. I like to just let these things do what they think is the best for the environment, and they seem to be doing pretty good choosing that. Last one down here, controller. So we can do check for updates. We can calibrate the magnetometer in the controller. It does have a compass in there, so probably want to calibrate that when you're in your flying zone. And then you can do mapping, where you can edit all the buttons. Let's check that out real quick. So I just press edit, and this is where you can edit everything. So look at this, really in-depth on every single button on here. You can basically edit and tell it what you want it to do. Camera tilt, takeoff landing, using the glasses, field of view change, recording, photo. That's what these two buttons are by default, A and B. So you have all these functions. If you wanted to go in and customize it, that's what's great about these Parrot drones, is they really don't limit you much at all on the customization. Click here, switch between photo and video. Oh, that's what that's doing. You see how I'm pressing that, and it's the HUD is either appearing or disappearing. That's pretty cool. So if you didn't want to have that on there. Over here, one last thing is going to be, there's a person with a circle around it. And check this out, image tracking. So double tap or draw a rectangle. So say the trash can over here. Say I went tap tap. It's kind of scanning it. That's pretty neat. Or you can draw a rectangle, and it's going to try to keep that in tracking. So if I move the drone around a little bit, yeah, it looks like it's trying to kind of keep that trash can in view. You see how that box is staying on the trash can? So pretty neat. And by the way, guys, this is the FPV latency. So let me move the drone around a little bit while you're looking at the screen. So not too bad. I mean, for a smart drone like this, where you can fly miles out, that's just a couple hundred milliseconds. So not bad at all. Looking pretty good. A couple of other functions on the screen. Of course, we have our takeoff or hand launch option down here. We have lock screen. So if you lock this, you're not going to be able to touch anything. Accidentally touch stuff if you don't want to and mess up your flight. To unlock, you just click and drag backwards. Let's see if we press on this icon here, what happens. Okay, so we got our control sticks on screen. If you wanted to take over control on the screen, you can turn that off and on. So really cool. And what we're seeing over here, see this red blinking? This is neat how this has this arrow showing you where the craft should be. What you want to do is you really want to keep your controller oriented towards the craft. So it's going to tell you where the craft is flying off the screen compared to which way your controller is pointing. So a pretty cool feature. And what I think is really unique about this Sky Controller 2 is it does have the magnetometer in it. So it's basically got a compass in it, which is communicating with the craft. So I haven't seen on other drones that are this accurate on how their compass is showing you. So you see how there's like a red field of view here? As I'm turning the controller, it's actually showing me where the spread of the signal is going out. So I should be keeping my drone right in this little cone of red here. So I'm really liking how Parrot does this. It's very accurate and it's very easy for you to know exactly where to point the controller for the best signal. Anyway guys, I think that pretty much goes over a lot of what we can expect in the interface. I know there are some advanced functions and I think we only can use those when we take off. They're going to come up here and we're going to be able to do some follow functions and circle around point and all that stuff. So we're going to be doing that in the flight test. I wanted to go over really quick before we wrap this up just how these propellers will mount up. So they make it really simple. So I've got a yellow here with a little yellow sticker on it. Of course, these stickers are going to come off and there aren't any other letterings on the propellers. So we take off this silicone and all we're doing is we're putting the propeller on the motor. Now if you've never done this before with these ones, basically rule of thumb with these guys is Parrot actually has their propellers spin into the sides. The leading edge is actually spinning into the sides. Most drones, the leading edge is spinning into the back or the front, but these guys chose to do it the opposite. So just make sure whatever propeller you're putting on, that edge is spinning in to the side, the top edge. So all we do is we push this onto the screws, just like that. Go ahead and we get this little tool that came in the box. Then we're just gonna hold the propeller, grab the tool, and make sure we give it a nice tweak so that the screws are actually locking in the propeller. And that's how you're going to do it for the yellows. And let's do a blue too, because that should be actually the opposite way. So taking off this little blue here. Now you can't actually put the propeller on the wrong motor anyway, just because of the way it's set up. You see how the yellow propellers actually have opening in the top and the blue propellers have no opening in the top. So you can't actually put them on wrong anyway, unless you really try to jam them on, but then you'll know something's wrong. So the blue propellers, same thing, we're just pushing it on, right, so the screws go in the big holes, just like that. And we're putting this on the motors. And with this one, we're going the opposite way, so we're twisting the tool counterclockwise while we're holding in the propeller. And you see how those screws are locking into the notches the opposite way. So there you go, that's how you put on the propellers and that's how everything looks in the setup. So guys, don't miss the next video. Next video is going to be a thorough flight test in the park. We're going to test all these new features that Parrot has come out with for their new drones in their Free Flight Pro application. We're also going to be slapping on these goggles real quick. Since I do have 2 batteries, we can have a really long, like hour flight test and go through all this stuff, since these batteries are supposed to last just around 30 minutes of flight time. So this is going to be fun. Stay tuned. I will have that video up in the description down below if you guys want to check out the flight test of the BEBOP 2 Power. When that's ready, it will be down there, so check that out. I just want to say thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me. I know this was kind of long, but this should go through pretty much everything setting up your new Parrot BEBOP 2, what to expect, some of the problems with updating. As usual, most drones have a little bit of a learning curve on updating on what to do. Really important, that one spot where it updated, let this thing reboot a couple times, wait like 5 to 10 minutes before you try to turn it off and on. That's a really important piece of knowledge there. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget also links down in the description where you can pick up your own power if you're interested in it, see the current pricing and all that's included in this thing. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the flight test coming up. Thanks for watching.